the shadows, down low. You don't know what I'm going through, don't know what I'm going through. It's down low, down low. You don't know what I'm going through, don't know what I'm going.
Welcome back, TPL Nation, to another draft analysis video for Season 3. And in this one today, people, we have the Old English Eiscue's team with our very own Gert Bilbo as the coach, and also known as Bill. And his team, I absolutely love it. It's a wonderful trick room team, and I think it could really come in clutch for him this season, even more than it did last season. I loved his trick room team last season, and it looks like it's even got better. So we do have the old favorite for him, the Alolan Marowak with the thick club, basically doubling the attack, so all of a sudden that 80 base attack is 160. Marowak hitting really hard with a thick club boosted attacks. I do like running Lightning Rod on it. Obviously you could run Rockhead for the Flare Blitz, but I like Lightning Rod just because it gives you a better, more switch-in opportunities against electric types to switch in and just have that electric type immunity. He could run the Rockhead, and it's perfectly fine. And to be honest, Curse Body might not be that bad either. However, to each their own at the end of the day, but I think the premier moveset is probably just going to be some Flare Blitz and Shadow Bone action, and then the last two moves I have Earthquake and Knockoff, but it does have some other niche options it can use. As we move down through the moveset, it does have some fighting coverage with Brick Break to remove screens as well. Not a whole lot going on for this Pokemon. You could run Flame Charge, which could be interesting, but I feel like he won't really do that since his team really does revolve around Trick Room a lot. As we keep going, though, we see some interesting stuff in Focus Punch, maybe stuff that doesn't want to stay in on Marowak. You could run Focus Punch to sock the switch in, and as we keep going, so Outrage is pretty strong. Could definitely see him maybe running that with all the dragons that are going to be running around in this season of the TPL. Poltergeist could be decent. I didn't have it over Shadow Bone just because your opponent can run something like a Ghost Berry. I forget what the name of the berry is, but the Ghost Berry to weaken the attack, and then Poltergeist will do no damage after that. So you definitely do have to be careful when clicking the Poltergeist move. I was the victim of that last season, so I am aware of that possibility. As we keep going down, we do see something like Stealth Rock, which, he could get his rocks up with Marowak, but I don't think he really needs to. Marowak gets Swords Dance, so if you just want to make that attack absolutely monstrous under Trick Room, you absolutely can. I feel like once Marowak goes up to +2 attack, there's not really a whole lot that's going to be taking a hit from Marowak, especially if it decides to go for a Dynamax or something like that under Trick Room. Will-O-Wisp could be interesting, could be an interesting tech, but I doubt we'll see it come from Marowak. Thunder Punch could definitely be a nice move for hitting some bulky water types for some really good damage. As we move down, we do see Aerial Ace. Maybe he wants to get some Airstream action. He definitely could. Marowak's really slow, though, so it's definitely not as good an option as to something else. We keep running through his team, and there's not a whole lot more that he could go for. I mean, if his name was Brooks, he could run Fissure, which would be pretty sick. But not a whole lot more to say about Marowak here. I mean, there could be some other things that come out for sure, but I think Marowak's just going to come in and either click Flare Blitz or Shadow Bone and do huge amounts of damage to the opponent. As we move on to Bisharp, now I really like Bisharp because it can do a few different things. For one, it's got 70 base speed, so it is one of Bill's fastest Pokemon. I know 70, right? So he does get the good Sucker Punch, Knockoff, and Iron Head are really solid on Bisharp, with Swords Dance just as an added little bonus. Defiance nice to catch like an Intimidate and get that free SD. So that could be really good if you think your opponent's going to you know, maybe double out into an Intimidate Pokemon, or if they are forced to switch in their Intimidate Pokemon like Arcanine or something in on Bisharp, Bisharp's going to get that boost. So absolutely, Bisharp can really hit hard if it needs to. I mean, it's got like a 125 base attack, and it could do some other things. I know it gets rocks, which, you know, is kind of meh. It's kind of like mid-tier plays, but it's got some other useful things it might be able to do. Maybe low kick or poison jet for grass types. We keep going down through. It could rock polish up. That actually could be a pretty solid pick to double Bisharp's speed. As we keep moving down through, however, we see stuff like Substitute, which I feel like Bisharp could definitely take advantage of. If a Pokemon wants to switch out, he expects a switch out and he just subs up in front of them. Definitely a solid move. As we keep going, honestly, I didn't know it got Thunder Wave. That's pretty dope. We keep moving down, and that's kind of it for Bisharp. There's probably not too much else we're going to come across here on this Pokemon. Night Slash could be interesting, but honestly, Knockoff is just better. Yeah, that's kind of it for Bisharp. But I mean, what it does really well, putting on that offensive pressure for your opponent. And it's really hard to like really hit Bisharp, because yeah, you can hit it, but it's got Sucker Punch right there. It's probably going to hit you first, and it's going to hurt a lot. So Bisharp's pretty dope, and we move into probably one of the best versatile Pokemon on Bill's team, and that's Slowking. And I know I have Galar Slowking on here, but just keep in mind he can run Galar or normal Slowking. I picked Galar because I feel like it works better for his team overall. Just because it gets a few legs up that running normal Slowking would have. Like, he gets to run Black Sludge on this, where he can free up his leftovers to run on a different Pokemon. But this would probably be his premier Trick Roomer, I would imagine. And Flamethrower, Sludge Bomb, and Future Sight are pretty good moves to also have to catch a lot of other Pokemon for some decent chip. But as we move down through, there's I'm just going to talk while you guys peep the movesets, because there are a few other things that this thing can do, but I feel like setting up Trick Room is going to be the main thing Bill uses for it. We do see Nasty Plots that we could set up. Probably not going to, though. He has a ton of Regenerator Pokemon on his team as well, which is going to be pretty sick to just be switching around and getting those free HP. Yawn would be a good move as well. But as we just move through, a thing to realize that, like, one key difference between this and the other Slowbro is that this Slowking doesn't get Teleport. Actually, does the regular Slowking get Teleport, or am I just tripping? Because I know Slowbro gets Teleport. Oh well, I'm not going to worry about it too much. We keep going through, and like, Slowking, pretty decent. It can hit decently well. It can take a couple hits before it goes down. With Regenerator, it can switch out and get that HP back. So, being a pretty good Spadef monster, I think we'll see it put in some work on Bill's team quite a bit. So it's going to be kind of cool to get to play with all these Crown Tundra mons. I think it's going to be pretty sick. So we move on to another potential Pokemon that he could run Trick Room with, and I really love Mimikyu as a Trick Room setter. When I went back in last season, I tried to switch over to a Trick Room team, and one of the Pokemon that I really wanted to get was Mimikyu. It unfortunately didn't end up happening, but Mimikyu is really good for Trick Room, because basically with Disguise, it will always get that Trick Room up for you. A free Trick Room, just at your beck and call whenever Mimikyu comes in. Like, your opponent, there's very few situations where your opponent can stop that Trick Room through to the Disguise. Pretty much they have to have something with like Mold Breaker or something that ignores your abilities, and then they have to one-shot you. But Mimikyu is a pretty good threat in its own right. With Trick Room, you could definitely make use of this new item Room Service, which I think is interesting, dropping your speed by one stage in Trick Room. So that might be a premier move for Mimikyu to slow it down whenever it does go for Trick Room, because Mimikyu is actually really decently fast at 96. Or he could definitely just run Room Service on something else like Bisharp to slow it down, because Bisharp is kind of middle of the way speed, so it could end up getting outsped by a few Pokemon out there on the opponent's team, because a lot of people like to draft like a Trick Room check just in case. Oddly enough, a lot of guys in the league say Trick Room's not that big of a threat, but you sure do see a lot of people drafting like a Trick Room abuser just in case it comes out, huh? But Mimikyu is pretty dope. It can Swords Dance, it can Play Rough, it can Shadow Sneak. The only bad thing is I'm pretty sure the next best ghost move it gets is Shadow Claw, which isn't that great. I mean, it does get Phantom Force, but honestly not that great. I do like moves like Thunder Wave on Mimikyu, just for disrupting, slowing the opponent down. Will-O-Wisp is always nice. Oh, Wood Hammer, interesting. I did not know it got Wood Hammer. But as we move down, we do see stuff like Charm. So Mimikyu can be a defensive Pokemon as well as an offensive one. Mimikyu is definitely really useful for like stopping Dynamaxes. I mean, you get that free disguise, it's that free hit, so you can Thunder Wave them, you can burn them, you can charm them, you can set your Trick Room up, whatever you need to do in that situation. So that's pretty cool, and I feel like that niche probably would serve Mimikyu a little bit better on this team, because he's got enough stuff to go like off on the offense with. So like, why not use Mimikyu as more of like a support mon, and not worry about Mimikyu's lackluster offenses. But we'll move on to yet another Regenerator Pokemon for his team. We got the Clucknatus here, and this big turkey bird, it's just gonna Hurricane, U-turn, knock off, and Heat Wave for the Steel types. Pretty standard set. I do like the Assault Vest on it because you can pretty safely just run 4 attacks. I'm pretty sure this thing gets a lot of other good moves like Agility, Taunt, Bulk Up could be some interesting stuff to use. Defog could be interesting, so he does have a way to remove hazards, which is pretty dope. We keep rolling along. He's got like Hammer Arm, Foul Play, Grass Knot could be some interesting moves. Iron Tail if he wants to take the risk hitting. Nasty Plot could be an interesting one, absolutely. Psychic, really strong 90 base power move. He got Sludge Bomb and Sludge Wave, so it's got some pretty good moveset options here. And Weather Ball just to cap it off in case he finds himself against that rain team or anything. But I mean, hey, Hurricane City if somebody wants to bring the rain against the boy Bill. And as we keep going along, there's not a whole lot left, but I feel like what we just ran into before really just says a lot for this Pokemon's versatility. We do see Icy Wind as a thing, Smackdown for maybe an opposing flying type. You never know when that might come in handy. But that's just about it for Tornadus. I mean, this Pokemon's really good at getting out, pivoting around, regenerating its HP, just being annoying. And when its Hurricanes hit, it hits really hard. You got 110 special attack, 110 base attack coming from this Tornadus here, and it's gonna hurt. And with 100 base attack, those attacks like U-turn and knockoff are gonna put some good chip out onto the opponent. So I definitely like Tornadus. And then as we move on to Primarina here, Primarina is interesting. Like, I wish that it got maybe something like Boom Burst to take advantage of Liquid Voice, but unfortunately it doesn't. So really the only point of running Liquid Voice would be to for the swag points of turning Hyper Voice into a water move. But honestly, with Sparkling Aria right there, you don't really need it because you're already getting Sparkling Aria. So this could be interesting. I could definitely see him having the option to run like Surf or Hyper Voice with the Liquid Voice, just because he does have the ability to burn his opponent with stuff like Slowking, stuff like Mimikyu, so as well as Scald on this Pokemon. So he might not want to risk healing burns in a matchup, but I feel like all in all, Torrent might just be a better ability for him to give him that boost, that Choice Specs boost once he gets below a third HP. And this Pokemon does get interesting moves in like Sing. It gets Blizzard, Dazzling Gleam. Obviously Moonblast's going to be a little bit better there. Energy Ball, some nice coverage there for other water types, so it's not going to get beaten by those. We keep rolling along. It's got Perish Song. That's definitely an interesting tech. Psychic might be nice for an opposing poison type. If you want to risk taking a hit from it, at least you can hit it. There's always the 1v1 towards the end of the match. You got to have that coverage just in case. Keep rolling along. We got Sub. That could be a good move for Primarina to use. Oh, I do have Sub right there. Triple Axle, probably not going to use that. Toxic could be interesting. Weather Ball also could be interesting if he finds himself under weather. We keep going along. Amnesia could be interesting for more niche setups there. Charm, definitely always a good move to be packing just in case. Keep going on. Draining Kiss is nice. You want to get some HP back after setting up with Calm Mind, so I could definitely see maybe running Draining Kiss over Moonblast. Like, you're losing a lot of damage, but you get that HP back, and I feel like that'd be really good on like a substitute set with Primarina. And this was the Pokemon I was talking about, being able to run Leftovers because you're running the Galar Slowking with the Black Sludge. So as we get back to where we were, there's not really a whole lot of other things. You do have Sing, 55% accuracy. We've seen the blunder policy in the past, so that could come up again, but I doubt Bill's going to really want to speed up a lot of his Pokemon, but it's an option there if he needs it. So that's pretty much it with Primarina. It could Dynamax and get quite a bit of HP going for it. Could be a decent attacker, absolutely. I feel like with 60 base speed, this is definitely a decent Pokemon to throw a Room Service on and then just start throwing off really strong attacks, really strong Dynamax moves under Trick Room. Absolutely a good Pokemon. And then as we move on to the Eldegoss, Eldegoss is very interesting. So it's another regenerator Pokemon, as well as pretty bulky on the special defense side. It does get access to Cotton Guard, so this thing can be annoying, especially for opposing grass. Matter of fact, opposing grass types don't really appreciate this thing too much. But the problem with Eldegoss is its move pool is very limited. There's grass, and then there's grass moves, and then you got some more grass moves, and then you got some of these green moves over here, and then to top it off, they give you some grass moves. So, going down through here, it does have a few things you can use, like Charm, Cotton Spore, maybe if you wanted to slow some stuff down. Grassy Glide and Terrain might be interesting, but with Eldegoss's abysmal attack, I doubt that would come out. Growth, if you want to set up with this thing, who knows what you could come up with. Pollen Puff could be interesting just for like a coverage move for the bug types, to really annoy the opposing grass types, So like if a grass type wants to switch into Eldegoss and trying to not get hit by a Sleep Powder, well, you have Pollen Puff on deck for it, what I'm saying? So you can kind of lure a Pokemon in by spamming Sleep Powder, and to my knowledge, there is no Sleep Clause in this league, so if you want to sleep the opponent's entire team, you're more than welcome to do that. We see Sing on this again, so hey, Sing blunder policy, who knows, man, could be the hidden tech. But that's just about it for Eldegoss. It can be annoying under right circumstances. You also see Aromatherapy here. I didn't mention that early to support the rest of the team with the status healing. And then finally, we kind of have like a little like odd man out in the Vanillux. So this Pokemon is interesting, but it definitely is nice. I like having the Never Melt Ice on this because that's just about all it gets is ice moves. You're going to have the Flash Cannon, the Freeze Dry to cover water types, the Blizzard, and maybe Ice Shard for a little priority, or you could get interesting with something else. But this Pokemon doesn't have a lot else it can do, but it is firing off 100% accuracy Blizzards under snow, under hail, so it is good for changing the weather if Bill finds himself in a weather matchup. It could set Veil for his team, which could be very useful. As we keep moving on, it does have Explosion. Maybe they get some extra chip or some cheeky normal gem explosion tactics. But I feel like a lot of this is just going to be Aurora Veil and then just firing off blizzards. We could see some screens come out from this thing to support the rest of the team. I can definitely see that coming out. Substitute, I doubt would come out, but it's got it. Taunt, Toxic, those are notable moves, absolutely. Acid Armor, not really for a Vanillux. We keep moving on. Frost Breath is okay because it always crits, I suppose. If you're running against something that you know is going to set up, Frost Breath will always hit through those stat changes, so that could be an interesting move to tech in. Imprison could be nice if you're going against that Aurora Veil mirror match. I could definitely see that coming into play. The Icy Wind is nice to slow stuff down, of course. Hyper Beam could be really nice to smack something with your pretty decent attack stat of 110 there. And then as we keep going, not much else. You could try for a cheeky sheer cold hit, but like I said, Bill isn't Brooks, so that's just about it. We did see the water pulse if you wanted to run like a water move. I wasn't sure if we saw water coverage earlier, so it does get water pulse, so that could be interesting. But that's going to be it for Bill's team, and I gotta say I really love this Trick Room team. It is a little strange to me still, like when I finally go through it, but maybe that's just because I don't get the intricacies of it. He definitely does have a lot of Pokemon that could be weak to grass, but I feel like if he runs Galar Slowking and the Marowak, that's not really a big deal. Especially with Tornadus as well, now that I think about it. So he's got that pretty much covered for him. Obviously though, if he does run Galar Slowking, the earth weakness, the ground weakness is something he's going to have to keep an eye on. Being able to pivot in his Tornadus and to take moves like that, or maybe as Eldegoss to take ground moves. But I really like this team. It synergizes really well with each other. My only worry for it is I feel like it almost depends too much on Trick Room. Obviously Tornadus works well outside of Trick Room, but that's kind of it. I really wish he had one more Pokemon that was maybe like 90 base speed or better. Mimikyu's right there, but like I said, Mimikyu's not really the strongest thing, and I feel like he would get more mileage out of it from it being a Trick Room setter with a support set. So I suppose I'm kind of nitpicking there because he does have that option to bring a more offensive Mimikyu. But, I'm just trying to find something to nitpick because I think the team overall is pretty solid. He's got some good Firewater Grass Core in there. He does have the ability to bring either Slowking, so that could be interesting with the type matchups there. But I think all in all, it's a good team. If I had to give it a rating, I'm really teetering on maybe... I'm just going to go with a 7.5, and I was going to give this team an 8 when I originally saw it, but at the end of the day, I think I'm just going to go 7.5 on it, because while it is, Regenerator City, I feel like the opponent can get through it if they try hard enough, but at the same time, you know what? No. I changed my mind. I'm giving it an 8. I'm giving it an 8 because you have Regenerator with Slowking and Tornadus that can be super annoying. You also have Regenerator with Eldegoss. We have a 20-minute timer. Like, honestly, I know that's not the best way to win, but that people could see, but a win's a win at the end of the day. And if you just want to chip at your opponent and keep doubling out into your Regenerator Pokemon, knowing that your opponent can't do anything about it, then do that. You got 3 Regenerator Mons here, you got some Trick Room. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And that might be too high for a team that really relies on Trick Room, but we'll see what Bill can do with this team. He's coming in, he got to build on the team that he had. He's coming in fresh this season, just like me, and I think Bill can really put in some work with this team. So I can't wait to see what he does with that. So guys, I'm going to get out of here. The final verdict's an 8 out of 10. I've been Ace Trainer Ryan. Peace.